Good morning, Monday morning. And this is Useful Idiots Monday Morning
Edition,
yes. How's it going, everyone?
Yeah, how was your holiday, Katie?
Oh, my holiday was we actually went to a restaurant, which we hadn't done in years. I don't actually know if we've ever done that.
It's a good option.
Yeah. It was me, my parents, my cousin, her 2 kids, her husband, her mother-in-law.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in favor of that. It's kind of a New York tradition.
Yeah, we've never done it though. But yeah, what about you?
It was great. Yeah, everything was good. The usual. My father was here, so that was good. He's kind of come. We're rambling. Let's
people like to hear.
Yeah.
No,
it was good. Among other things, I wrote a Thanksgiving piece that aroused some consternation, and that was kind of funny because I published it on the morning of, and I'll just say that a former presidential candidate called me like within minutes after the piece ran and was doing nothing but laughing.
Oh my God, I really don't know who it was.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. So he was like, they're gonna cut your balls off for this one.
Right.
So but
I can't believe Marianne Williamson said that.
I know. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
It was amazing.
That was a joke.
So lots of stuff.
We pay for the rambling.
Yeah,
sorry, I shut that off by accident. We pay for the Magic Turtle.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on this week. We talked a little bit about what to do first, but I thought we should start here. Yeah, it was not Newt Gingrich. Because there's going to be a big case in the Supreme Court this week, and there's going to be commensurate significant demonstrations this week. So we should probably get back into the spirit of talking about the abortion issue, which is going to become red hot again because of a variety of things. But should we just go to the videotape? This interview with Tate Reeves, who's I shouldn't make the joke. Let's just watch the.
Okay.
This is
something
Tate
that
Reeves
you said about
This is the Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves talking with Todd on Meet the Press yesterday.
Todd, yeah.
I want to play something that you said about the vaccine mandate and ask you why the same philosophy doesn't apply here. Let me play what you said.
What you said.
This is a power grab by the federal government. We've seen this time and time again by the Biden administration. And now we're seeing their strong desire to try to make decisions on behalf of individual Americans. We believe in freedom and individual liberty.
Freedom and individual liberty. Why should the state of Mississippi tell a woman what they should do with their body? Why shouldn't they have that individual freedom on their body, particularly in the first 20 weeks?
Well, this is a prime example, and the far left loves to scream, "My body, my choice." And what I would submit to you, Chuck, is they absolutely ignore the fact that in getting an abortion, there is an actual killing of an innocent unborn child that is in that womb. Here's what we know about babies that are 15 weeks. We know that they have a heartbeat.
We
know that those babies at 15
weeks
actually can open and close their hands. We know that they have developing lungs. And we know that those babies at 15 weeks can feel pain. And so when you talk, the difference between vaccine mandates and abortions is vaccines allow you to protect yourself. Abortions actually go in and kill other American babies. And let's just put this in perspective.
But Governor,
Chuck,
vaccines are not about yourself. Governor, hang on a minute. A vaccine is about protecting a larger community. A vaccine is about preventing spread. You could argue a vaccine mandate is a pro-life position.
Reeves doesn't know how to handle that.
Chuck, but even if you listen to Dr. Fauci's interview with you earlier today, he made it very clear.
Wilson, can we stop for a second?
The vaccine.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. When of course, there's always a delay because you have to remember these people are being interviewed remotely, so it's always going to be a little bit slow to react. But you could tell, if we rewind it just a bit, you can tell that Reeves briefly doesn't know how to answer the charge that vaccines are a pro-life position. That stymies him for a fleeting moment.
Yeah, you're gonna. Did we rewind? Should I play
community? A vaccine is about preventing spread. You could argue a vaccine mandate is a pro-life position.
Look at how Chuck Todd.
You could certainly argue that, Chuck. But even if you listen to Dr. Fauci's interview with you earlier today, he made it very clear that the vaccine may not keep you from getting the virus. It may not keep you from spreading the virus, but it can keep you from ending up in the hospital. That's what's been proven during this Delta surge that we've seen in America, is that the virus is continuing to being spread even amongst those who are vaccinated. Conversely, when you're talking about the pro-life position of protecting unborn babies, let's put it also in perspective. The fact is that during this very horrible and challenging time since I was sworn into office in January of 2020, Chuck, we've had 800,000 American lives lost because of COVID. And my heart aches for every single one of those individuals that have died because of COVID. Over 10,000 Mississippians. My heart breaks for every single one of them. But since Roe was enacted, 62 million American babies have been aborted and have therefore been killed. And that's why I think it's very important that people like myself and
just
others
rewind
across
for a
this
second.
country.
Sorry. So Chuck Todd has an interesting style as an interviewer. Normally, when you want the interview to go in a different direction, or you think the person has rambled too long, or is making a point that you're annoyed with, like the standard thing is just to bully the person, step on them, and move the interview in a different direction. Chuck has this thing where he goes, yeah, like that. Like when you say something, something he's kind of annoyed with. It's really funny.
That is funny. We have to. Can we watch that again? Just his.
At the end, he does it a couple of times, like when he talks about the 62 million babies lost and all that. Just go back like a minute or half a minute here. Like it's funny. He does it a couple of times towards the end.
Over 10,000 Mississippians. My heart breaks for every single one of them. But since Roe was enacted, 62 million American babies have been aborted and have therefore been killed. And that's why I think it's very important that people like myself and others across this country stand up for those unborn children, because they don't have the ability to stand up for themselves.
All right.
And then we just have to, so we should name that the meh. All right. But also we got to name this, which is when he says something he's really proud of. Hold on.
Mandate is a pro-life position.
You could certainly argue.
Ooh, the lip thing?
Yeah, it's like,
he goes
what
lipless?
Say you? He goes like.
Do you think he's chewing on
Chuck,
mustache
even
there?
If you listen to Dr. Fauci's interview with you earlier.
Good question.
So I am not a person who's had beards a lot in my life, but I do know that when you get to a certain point, the temptation to start chewing on that thing becomes irresistible, which I think would be a difficult thing for an on-air personality to deal with.
Yeah, seriously.
You just want to see how long it's gotten constantly.
Maybe that's what he's doing.
Yeah, but he does do that. What say you? Thing. Yeah, I got you.
The Chuck mate look. That's good.
Tuck job. Tuck job. Yeah.
Tuck job.
What's
that?
Good.
Also, the Chuck mate look.
The Chuck mate. That's right.
That's
good,
yeah.
Yeah. But what do we call that grunt of dissatisfaction?
All right.
Yeah.
A chod. Yeah. The chod. I don't know.
Yeah. The chunt.
Where's the chunt?
Yeah. I think it's like a Chuck spunt.
Yeah.
Chunt.
Or
or a grunt. A Chuck grunt,
Oh yeah, a Chuck grunt. Oh yeah, that's good. The chunt. Yeah.
A chunt. Yeah. So he coughed a couple of chunts out there at the end. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So
meh the press.
Meh the press.
Yeah.
Look, there's this case is coming this week. It's a big case. This Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Center, is that what it's called? They're probably not going to actually hear it until, what is it, next October or something like that?
Don't know.
Let's see.
Wow, why October? Also, I kind of was disappointed that, like, he said.
Well, no, they're gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
No. What was the number of babies that he said?
62 million. You were hoping it was more?
No. A girl can dream. No, I thought that he kind of undersold it. The whole point is that it's murder to these people, right? So he said 62 million American babies have been aborted and therefore murdered. No, you're supposed to just cut right to the chase and say murdered.
Right. Yes. Maybe he was
wanted to make it clear what was.
Well, he was altering for the audience,
right. For the far left audience.
For the far left, meet the press
meet
the press audience.
Yeah.
No, I
million served. I don't even know what that means, but it's funny.
It's a McDonald's reference.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. I hope, right? Sirach of Vulcan, am I right? Yeah. So, look, I think maybe they actually are going to hear arguments on this case. Maybe they won't rule until later. I'm trying to remember where I read this. But this is the case that they're going to get to the Mississippi law that it's pretty stringently bans all abortions after 15 weeks. And look, this is the thing that that sort of mainstream Democratic voters have been worried about for decades. And it's not a direct referendum on Roe v. Wade, but it's no, that's not Tab I'm drinking. It's Diet Coke, by the way, that the person who's asking.
How could they ask that?
But I don't know. Look, there's a couple of things going on here. One is that this abortion issue, is it because these states are acting opportunistically because they have extra votes in the Supreme Court? It's also been kind of cross-pollinated with the vaccine mandate issue. Some people see like a right
my
to
body,
life,
or
like
framing,
exactly. I don't know what you would do. Like, one of the things that I think that the Republican Party has done over the last 4 or 5 decades, which has been really interesting, is that they've prevented this from ever getting to the point of becoming something they have to answer for politically in big elections, like in national elections. Because I don't think the abortion issue polls well. And they promise it, they talk about it, but it never gets anywhere. Nobody ever introduces legislation that gets anywhere. Like even when they have supermajorities everywhere, they never do anything about it.
Right.
And I think that's because they just don't want to have to deal. Like, this is something that they're throwing, like bouquets at their Christian followers, but they're expecting those votes without having to deliver on them. But what happens if they actually go through with this and it becomes
they delivered on them, but not through the Supreme Court, right?
Not to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but they do through like all these sidesteppings of Roe. What's the term for them? There's like a term for the laws that limit access. It's an acronym or something.
Yeah.
Where they like close down a hospital because it's like 2 inches too narrow, the corridor.
Right. Yeah, no, there have certainly been restrictive laws, and and there have been people like Mike Huckabee who've done everything they possibly can, right? But I don't know. I think this is a big deal because, like, absent this issue, the Republicans are sitting pretty for the midterms next year. I think they're 10 points up. They're gaining constantly, and a lot of that has to do with the education issue, where they've traditionally had like 25 points,
trap laws,
25-point leads on education, and like new polls show them, basically even with Democrats on that issue, which is a big deal, and especially in like suburban districts. So that they're going to be competitive in places they've never been competitive before, unless this issue starts to trump some other things. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I think this is going to become a big issue next year.
You mean because it's kind of like they're actually bringing it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, they've successfully talked about it, but not really done a whole lot on this issue for a long time. And now all of a sudden it's going forward, So, and they've got, there was a case that was sort of narrowly struck down. Remember, there was the 5-4. What case is that I'm thinking of? Just like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
People need to start getting their medical pill abortions, by the way. Look into that. You can do it with a pill.
Right.
Which is not talked about that much. And I'm surprised. I think they're going to pick up popularity. And yes, thank you, Natalie. It's trap laws, targeted restrictions on abortion providers. Yeah, that's what it stands for.
Right.
I
don't know. I think it's interesting. There's apparently going to be a big brouhaha in Washington this week. We're going to see a lot of video of a lot of people, a lot of pro-life demonstrators.
Yeah.
And they're going to be all over the internet. And how are people going to react to that? I don't know.
I will not call anyone who's for the death penalty pro-life. You want to be pro-life, you got to oppose the death penalty.
Yep. I think that's fair.
I think that's a fair, yeah. So hi Catholics, and sorry evangelicals, a lot of you. And not all Catholics either. Not all Catholics.
I mean, I respect the Catholics who are consistent on this issue.
I don't want them to legislate abortion stuff, but I morally respect that in a way that I totally disrespect the aborting while what is it? What not aborting while death penaltying, but while pro-life.
Right. Yeah, that's untenable. I don't understand that one. If you want to be pro-life, support universal health care.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. That's my pro-life definition.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
But
I mean, I agree with supporting universal health care. I just don't think that those two things are mutually
exclusive. It is pro-life though, because it gives some more. It saves people's lives, right?
Right, but the whole idea is that if human life is sacrosanct,
right, then you have to not.
Yeah.
No, but I think you do. You should be. I mean, this is where a lot of
now we're stretching the definition to.
I guess, yeah.
But
if you think it's sacrosanct, you want to do anything you can to preserve it, right? Including.
Well, what does that mean?
Making healthcare affordable. I think should be part of the package. It's gonna look. My package is three parts.
Does that mean I'm also morally responsible for, somebody in another country who? Do I have to pay for their healthcare as well?
We don't have that set up yet, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I'd like to make it happen. Look at the apartheid vaccine, for example. It's a great metaphor. If anything can teach us a lesson that we're not learning, apparently, about our interconnectedness.
The
great vaccine? Oh, the vaccine apartheid, the fact that it's like pretty good. It's a pretty great it's a hard way to learn a socialist principle of solidarity through deadly,
Right. Yeah. Or that's just greed.
Oh yeah, it is greed. Right.
I mean, I think there's plenty of examples of international nation-state cooperation.
Yeah. Right. Just not right, but not the kind that would save a lot of lives.
Well, not in this issue.
Right.
We've had polio vaccine campaigns that were international. I mean, it's
right.
Just
Can't pan the sun.
Yeah.
I need to bring that back. That idea. Sorry, I meant to. There was a good comment from someone saying that the death penalty is just extreme late-term abortion.
Yeah, the 4,700 week.
Yeah. By the way, abortion pills are not. There's Plan B, but abortion pills are something else. We'll have to do a show on it. Right.
All right. Well, let's move on. I mean, I just wanted to bring that up because I think that this is going to be. I'm making the prediction that as we head into the midterms next year, that this is going to be the thing that Democrats run on. But we're going to hear a lot about it.
But they're not going to do that much about it.
The Democrats?
Yeah. I mean, they could pass laws and stuff. They could codify rights. What's that noise? Is that you, Wilson?
There's a lawnmower outside my house, if that's what you're talking about. Or somebody, I think there's somebody chainsawing a tree that fell down.
Okay.
I have coyotes in my area of the world right now.
Really?
Yeah, they were spotted around here this weekend, which seems to be solving the mystery of why there haven't been a whole lot of deer around here lately.
Oh my gosh! Make sure you keep Coco in the house.
Yeah. See, you know that whole thing about like the eastern coyote and the coy wolf and all that controversy?
No, what's that?
So there's a species of coyote in the eastern seaboard called the eastern coyote that apparently has significant portion of wolf DNA. Like it has an ancestor at some point that was a wolf, so it has the potential to be like twice the size of a normal coyote. And it's kind of wolf looking. It's got like a big sort of bane of fur. It's way bigger than your normal coyote, which is a little scrawny looking mean thing, right? And that appears to be the thing that's in my neighborhood. Is this,
oh my God!
Some people call it a coy wolf. That's apparently the wrong term. The right term is eastern coyote.
Eastern coyote, okay.
But anyway, no, I'm not in Ted Kaczynski's old cabin. I'm in a house that's a little bit more comfortable than that. So we should move on to Fauci. Should we listen to Fauci on Face the Name?
Sure, yeah.
Why do you feel so strongly about that, about staying
on the job? She's a retired Irish dancer, by the way.
Personally, not just rhetorically, threatened.
Who?
Your security, your safety, your family.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
In her Twitter bio.
I dealt with it by focusing on what my job is. From the time that I went into medicine to the right now where I am at my age, my job has been totally focused on doing what I can with the talents and the influence I had to make scientific advances to protect the health of the American public. So anybody who spends lies and threatens and all that theater that goes on with some of the investigations and the congressional committees and the Rand Pauls and all that other nonsense, that's noise, Margaret. That's noise. I know what my job is.
Senator Cruz told the Attorney General you should be prosecuted.
Yeah. I have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted. What happened on January 6th, Senator?
Do you think that this is about making you a scapegoat to deflect from President Trump?
Of course. You have to be asleep not to figure that one out.
Well, there are a lot of Republican senators taking aim at this. I mean,
that's okay. I'm just going to do my job. And I'm going to be saving lives, and they're going to be lying.
It seems another layer of danger to play politics around matters of life and death.
Right, exactly. And to me, that's unbelievably bad, because all I want to do is save people's lives. I mean, anybody who's looking at this carefully realizes that there's a distinct anti-science flavor to this. So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there. So it's easy to criticize. But they're really criticizing science, because I represent science. That's dangerous. To me, that's more dangerous than the slings and the arrows that get thrown at me. And if you damage science, you are doing something very detrimental to society long after I leave.
Oh man, did he say the line about talents, my talents and influence? Where was that line?
No, but I don't know. Like, I am
I'm
science.
gonna use my talents and influence. Yeah.
And quoting Shakespeare, and like, this is a person. So we don't see this phenomenon a lot, because most people who become massively famous in politics are trying to do so.
Right.
Like, in other words, they have a long track record of feeling their way towards massive fame. The person who becomes enormously famous in politics kind of overnight is somewhat rare. And so there's a thing that we don't see a whole lot of, which is a person who I'm a dead ringer for your mailman. Is that a good thing?
I'm sure it's a very handsome mailman. Let us know, Ghost Man Riding.
But like, sometimes people, when they get too used to being on television and they start to like it a little bit, and they become, and like this egomania starts to pop out of their personalities a little bit, and it just doesn't play well. Like, are you catching that vibe with Fauci?
Yeah. He's become, I mean, it's not his fault. They've made him, and I mean, I kind of say this kind of in jest. Like, it's insane. The Cult of Fauci, the Netflix movie, or like, what is it? The Disney movie, I guess. The popcorn, all the stuff that people, the literal saint candles.
Right. Yeah. The votive candles, the Fauci votive candles.
Candles. Yeah.
Not as bad as the Mueller phenomenon, but yes.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Because also Mueller, how do we not mention that he lied about WMDs more?
Oh, yeah. We don't mention that anybody lied.
Yeah.
Like,
right. You're
I had David Frum write a piece going after basically me last week about the Russia thing.
Oh, let's do it. We got to start doing readings of people attacking you, at least when they're like that level.
But this,
we'll laugh at it.
This guy's like the author of the WMD hoax, and
course,
he's somehow still
well,
allowed
that's great.
to be.
You got a good that's a
target.
Good blurb. You got a good blurb.
Yeah, no, I think they're gonna. I'm deciding whether to take a bat to him or not. But anyway, but Fauci, like,
finally, somebody just wrote, finally an old man. Where's that Disney princess?
Which one?
Finally, an old white man Disney princess, because they made a Disney movie.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, that movie's Disney. I mean, it's not a cartoon, but
excellent. When I attack Chuck Todd, we're attacking journalism. That's really good. Yeah. So the Fauci thing, like, okay, the big headline out of that interview is him laughing at Ted Cruz and pointing the finger back at what about January 6th, which, whatever, he's got a point. I no dog in that fight. Like, I think they're both horrible, but this implication that that there's nothing there on the thing about him lying about the gain of function research,
right?
it's The Intercept. It's not just right wingers who are throwing that out at him. He's getting that from all over.
Right.
There was that story in The Intercept this summer. Was it this summer? No, it was actually this month. I'm sorry. About the NIH and allowing the Eco Health Alliance to essentially define what it was doing so that it would get around a prohibition on the kind of research that people like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz have been wailing about, this gain of function research. They essentially they allowed them to call it something else so that it wouldn't fall under the prohibition. And the more they dig in that, the worse Fauci's going to look. So what's going to happen is that he's going to keep doing these interviews where he, gets the light shine back on January 6th, which is smart, I guess. But I don't know, man. That guy, the more he's on television, the more off-putting he seems to be to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because he becomes that much more of a celeb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I like his accent, though. I'll give him that.
Where's he from exactly?
It must be New York, right?
Yeah, but is he a Queens person?
Maybe. Let's see. Have we?
It feels Queensy to me.
Yeah, Queensy or Brooklyn. Have we looked at we're gonna have to do an episode where we just go through all the Fauci swag. Let's see, where is he from?
I'm gonna guess.
You're gonna guess Queens. All right, let's see.
Yeah, but where in Queens?
Early life and education.
Astoria?
It says born in Brooklyn.
Nope.
I don't know if he grew up there.
I was right.
Brooklyn.
I was right.
Brooklyn. Ho.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, he's like a fancy guy. His father is a Columbia University educated pharmacist who owned his own pharmacy. My dad's mom's dad was a pharmacist. Or maybe
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute. Fauci's mother and sister worked the pharmacy's register, and Fauci delivered prescriptions. It was in the Dyke Heights section of Brooklyn, directly beneath the family apartment previously in the Bensonhurst neighborhood. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about?
No, I just he went to Regis, private Jesuit school. No, I think that's about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Michael Cohen's interview?
Sixth member of the Beastie Boys. Yeah. Yeah, let's watch Michael Cohen. Let's watch MC Cohen.
Welcome back. The criminal investigation into former President Trump's family.
Let's see how many chunks we get.
Critical phase.
Yeah.
Outgoing Manhattan DA
Oh yeah,
Cyrus
we do
Vance
actually.
Is narrowing
well
his
in one of
to whether
clips that we have
Mr. Trump fraudulently inflated the value of his assets to obtain better financing. One person with a lot of insight into Mr. Trump's financial dealings, particularly pre-2017.
I don't think we're going to get many because this is
overall in New York.
An interview.
Is his former personal attorney and fixer Michael Cohen. Cohen, who
well,
pled guilty to charges
this is the
including
long clip,
arranging
right? We'll
hush
play
money
the first
payments
two
to
minutes
Stormy
of it.
Daniels, ended his 3-year
we'll...
sentence last week, much of which was spent at his home. Cohen also has written a memoir of his time with Mr. Trump called Disloyal. Michael Cohen joins me now.
Number one bestseller. All I got to do is be in Trump's orbit.
So let me start with what you know about the Manhattan DA. We're not far from the end of the calendar year. He's termed out. We know this. We know the new DA hasn't been read into the investigation yet, since he's not been sworn in.
It's kind of an amazing interview.
Expect to see actual indictments before the new year?
You know, I generally try not to talk about the DA, which is now also includes the Attorney General's civil case in the same
His
exact
accent is
matter.
Also great.
So I really try not to talk about it because it's their investigation, nor do I want to tip off Trump or the Trump organization's people about what is actually happening.
He also sounds like he's running out of breath.
So, you know, I would rather just not answer that specific question other than to say that you can bet your bottom dollar that Alan Weisselberg is not. And I truly say, I mean this, Alan Weisselberg is not the key to this. They are going after Donald. They're going after Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka. They're a whole slew of individuals family.
Okay, can we stop for a sec?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like he starts his answer by saying, "I don't want to talk about the investigation," but just FYI, they're not going to stop with Weisselberg. They're going after Trump, Ivanka, like, and this is a witness in the case. Like, in other words, he knows. That's a big piece of information that he just kind of casually tossed off there. But anyway.
After saying he's not going to say anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like.
You were just referred to Alan Weisselberg, the chief financial officer. He was indicted. It looked to a lot of observers that this was the type of indictment that was brought against you, essentially, which was in the previous cases, which was to squeeze you and hope that you would cooperate. Were you surprised Alan Weisselberg hasn't cooperated?
Yeah, so they didn't really do to Alan Weisselberg what they did to me. You know, the threat against me was that they were going to file an 85-page indictment that was going to include my wife. They were going to say she was a co-conspirator to the hush money payment, which is absolutely nonsensical. And look, I'm married now 27 years. I'm with the same woman for 29 years. There was no chance in the world that I was going to put her at risk with these animals. The way they came down on me is nothing like what they're doing to Weisselberg. They should be squeezing right now Barry Weisselberg, who worked for the Trump organization, and they should be squeezing Jack Weisselberg, who is one of only 2 organizations that made loans to the Trump organization that we still know. You know, when you talked about whether or not Donald Trump inflated or deflated his assets, every
Wilson,
single
can you
word
look up
that
where he's from, actually? Where then we have another. Or I can look it up because we have another clip. Is there more from this that you want to watch, Matt?
No, I mean, it goes. It's interesting all the way through. But anyway,
well, we can keep watching if you want.
What's the next clip we want?
I can play it. Someone tell us where he's from. Cohen.
Humiliation is the reason why he may not want to run and lose again. But we've seen him use that as a motivator before.
Yeah, so this should become a documentary, and it should be called The Greatest Grift in U.S. History. Look, Donald Trump has made it very clear, right, that he is grifting off of the American people, these supporters, these individuals that are just sending money to him at record levels. So one of the biggest problems for Donald Trump is that he makes a statement, right, that I'm thinking about it. That's only to keep the grift growing, and to keep the grift going. It's really amazing that people don't see exactly what the guy is doing. I talk about his sociopathy throughout Disloyal. I talk about it on my podcast, Mea Culpa, ad nauseum. Right?
Is that funny?
Please understand, Chuck, and this is really important for
Mea Culpa, ad nauseum. It makes it sound like his podcast is named Mea Culpa ad nauseum.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a Latin language
back-to-back Latin
podcast.
Yeah.
Please understand, Chuck, and this is really important for all of the viewers as well. One of the things Donald Trump has done is grift off of the big lie that the election was stolen from him in 2020. It was not stolen from him. If he loses, which he will in 2024, what happens to the big lie? The big lie disappears. He can't now be like the boy who cried wolf. Oh, they stole it from me in 2020. They now stole it from me in 2024. Right? That goes out the door, and there goes his money. There goes the big grift. So, like I said before, it's not going to happen. He's going to run it like he did in 2011, right to the very, very last second.
That's not really a chunt.
I guess it's too articulated. It's too it's not under the it's too intelligible.
Yeah, it's more like a chindorsement or
right.
Or what's the word I'm looking for? A checkclamation. Right?
A checkclamation. I like that.
Chuckclamation.
Chuckclamation, right. Chuckclamation, right. That's interesting. That someone just said what, like he can't, he can't lie twice. Flawless logic.
So somebody's asking what's interesting about this interview.
Besides,
first of all, this investigation against Trump is not it's not a fishing expedition. They're going after this whole inflated assets thing, which if you want to be extremely generous, you could say everybody does this. I mean, that was the entire 2008 financial crisis, was overinflating assets for the purposes of borrowing, for the purposes of getting credit default insurance. It doesn't matter. Like they were taking things that they knew weren't very valuable, representing them as more valuable to banks. Like everybody in business does this. Trump, however, apparently has a history of doing this to a degree that's, sort of beyond the pale, even by those standards. So this thing might be one of the things that they, that there have been so many cases that just haven't kind of gone anywhere since he became president. But this one looks like it might have some staying power. So it's not, and we missed the part of the interview where Cohen says, basically Todd asks him, did you help him commit crimes?
Right. Yeah.
And he says, well, put it this way, crimes were committed. And then he says, so I guess you're saying that you have some kind of an immunity.
Right. He does say that.
And he says something to the effect of,
whatever they've done. Like whatever they've charged me with, right? It's over.
It's my case is over, but like he said, there were crimes were committed. The crimes were related to the inflation of assets, and I was involved in that.
Yeah.
So, he says there are other witnesses besides himself. He's far from the only witness. And he says he gave thousands of pages of documents to the prosecutors. So, it's I think that's a story. Now, on the other front, on what happens when he loses in 2024 and the grift's over, like I think he's wrong about that. Like he can keep doing it in perpetuity, right. and it's far from certain that he'll lose in 2024, especially depending on who the candidate is.
Right. Yeah. If he called it, why would it? It doesn't mean like you can't only have the election stolen from you once.
Right. Yeah. You can have it. I mean
and the media's done such a good job setting him up with you said this from the beginning, Matt, like the media did the one thing that was like amazing for Trump, which was that they actually kind of openly, they fulfilled his not fantasy. They fulfilled his prophecy of like the persecuted Trump. I mean, they gave him tons of free media. Obviously, they also highlighted him, really helped create him. He was a media creation, but also they then would go after him for things that they didn't have proof of.
Oh, and he was able to sustain a large part of his appeal during his presidency, and basically based on counterpunching the Russiagate investigation,
right,
which didn't go anywhere. That was a huge win for him.
Yeah.
So
should we go to Stelter?
Let's go to Stelter because he was in word invention mode this week, which is always fun.
We got to keep a list. We really have to have a idiot's guide to useful idiots.
Right. Yeah.
Where we keep a glossary.
What is the meta story of President Biden's first year? The meta story.
He's strangling a bunny.
The all-encompassing narrative of Biden's presidency. What's the takeaway? What's the story about all the stories? What's the main impression you get from all the daily headlines and hate tweets? Is it America rebounding?
Were we counting the times he did that once?
America on the wrong track?
I don't know.
First, let's admit that the American media has a tremendous amount of power in shaping the meta story of a presidency.
We should count it this
Maybe that's why so many liberals are so frustrated right now. Worried about Biden's poll numbers, irritated at the media's framing, and concerned that Biden isn't doing enough to shape his own story. If Biden's strategy is quiet, his detractors are trying to be loud, making the meta story about a guy who failed to deliver and citing supply chain woes to make those tales sound real. It doesn't matter if your packages arrive on time and if gas prices start to come down. If you see stories all the time about things going wrong, if things feel uncertain, if they feel chaotic, and One reason why it feels that way is because some partisan outlets favor feelings over facts. This Fox banner sums up the network's meta story about Biden. See, it says quality of life is collapsing under Biden. Says who? Other banners refer to Biden's economic train wreck and failed agenda and crises, always plural, multiple crises on his watch. This weekend, Biden is saying his solutions are working. Here's his tweet saying shipping containers are moving, goods are moving quickly out of ports. His Twitter account says, but no one believes he actually wrote this tweet, and it barely garnered any news. And anyway, by the time that crisis recedes, Fox will be emphasizing a new emergency. But this isn't just about the anti-Biden media. Progressive quarters of the press have been gripped with alarm about whether people are hearing about the Democrats' wins, whether they are hearing about bills passed and victories achieved, or whether Joe and Jane Consumer are mostly hearing about let's go Brandon, mostly just laughing at Biden. The poll numbers have been a real focus. This focus group by the center-left group Third Way found that Virginia voters could not name anything the Democrats had done, except a few who said we...
Third Way is not center-left. I hate this. Third Way is like radical centrist. They want to privatize Social Security. I hate when people call them center-left. All right.
Well, that's what they are to him.
I guess, yeah. Thanks for playing, Stelter.
Yeah.
It's funny. I thought it said David Sedaris for a second. David Siders.
Oh, yeah.
Bill. That's the quote from the report. So the meta story is Biden has not changed anything, has not fixed anything. Folks on TV cover the daily dimensions of the Build Back Better bill and every other story under the sun. But the overall narrative is they are all fighting in D.C. and we are not benefiting. Is that a right-wing narrative? Maybe. It certainly helps the right wing. It's always easier to condemn than create. Always easier to mock than
What is this, like Buddhism or something?
But there's something bigger going on here. Something bigger than Biden.
Hinduism?
The media universe has fundamentally changed. Or actually, it's better to say it is changing every day in ways that make America a different country to govern.
Wait, is he pretending? Is he trying to pretend that like this is a
media universe
spontaneous,
has fundamental,
like a spontaneous line? Hold on, watch this. Ready?
Than create. Always easier to mock than make. But there's something bigger going on here. Something bigger than Biden. The media universe has fundamentally changed. Or actually, it's better to say it is changing every day in ways that make America a different country to govern. A more...
Was he pretending he came up with that in real time?
Mock than make? No.
No. The it has fundamentally changed. Better yet, it is fundamentally changing. I feel like the way he delivered it, he was trying to feign spontaneity. Hold on.
Something bigger than Biden. The media universe has fundamentally changed. Or actually, it's better to say it is changing every day in ways that make America a different country to govern, a more difficult country to govern. It is increasingly a country with many alternative facts. Disproving viral tweets is different than debunking a TV ad. Combating meme makers is different than rebutting newspaper columnists. And the memes are pretty powerful sometimes.
Sorry, say that again.
My suburban grocery store never had empty shelves like that. But the messaging here saying...
Let's just stop it here because
he's putting a troll in a
he goes on and on.
Well, what's that one line that he gets backwards? I could just play it again.
The whole thing is he's saying like this has become an increasingly difficult country to govern because we've become a country of many alternative facts. And what he's really complaining about is, you know, when 3 or 4 big networks tell you everything's awesome, people don't listen because there's a wave of misinformation tweets out there that are leading people to believe that things suck or that they're actually unhappy about things when they're really not. Things are actually really great,
right? And
they're just not in tune with that.
Talking about it.
In tune with that because they're following stuff on their phones that's telling them to be dissatisfied about things. This is like straight up delusional. I mean, he mentions the Virginia thing, and I hate to get into this because I'm still writing a story about this, but like that grew out of a ground up grassroots issue in a community where media was totally irrelevant. In fact, the only thing that mattered about the media in that whole Loudoun County, Virginia thing that became a statewide phenomenon was that the media was presenting it as something that it was not, that they were presenting it as a traditional red-blue race issue, when it was kind of multi-layered and complex and full of things that people were mad about, including, like, you know, having the time limit on how long they could speak. There was the school board was meeting in a Facebook group and drawing up lists of people who are insufficiently, like, politically on board with the equity program. There were arguments about whether or not to change the criteria for the gifted school in the district, which is, you know, it's like a heavy philosophical issue that people have legitimate differences of opinion on. And the significance of what happened in Virginia wasn't that right-wing, the right-wing base got fired up, is that there was big slippage among exactly CNN's audience. It was upscale, affluent, mostly white liberals, or not liberals, upscale, affluent, mostly white Democrats who swung about 7 points all over the state. And this is kind of a nationwide phenomenon. And they're doing this because education is something that people deal with every day with their kids. It doesn't have anything to do with the media, you know, except that the media is getting it wrong, you know, and they have resentment about that. He just drives me crazy. He misses. Yeah, I mean, like,
helter skelter.
When the press is when the news is not positive enough for him, that means that Fox is all powerful,
right.
And you know what I mean. And he's such a one note act at this point. Like, come on.
This is a good point, by the way. Dan Campbell says quality of life collapsing. Quality of Biden is collapsing under Biden.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, come on. The president is, like, you know, losing his mind on television. We're hearing all these stories about whether or not he's even going to run in 2024. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about this, Katie?
No, I mean, well, actually, it's what term should be added to the idiot's guide to useful idiots. That's a good question. And this is a term that we should use, which is something that we need to name, which is when the media is just, I guess it's just projection, right? As someone said in the chats, but it really is a projection of, like, they're showing their own warped view when they're suggesting that the right wing is up to something. Like, if we see any bad news about, and, like, to be clear, of course there's a right-wing agenda, and of course there are outlets run with a right-wing agenda, but, like, CNN has its own agenda. That's the part that he doesn't want to look at.
And they're enormously influential, like, right. and they're the ones who are, more than anybody, running all this stuff about sort of alarming dips in voter satisfaction.
Yeah.
Now, some of that, you never know what that means, right? Because we have seen kind of some shifts that are odd within some of the bigger news organizations. Like, the New York Times has kind of backed off some of its decisions in the last year or so. They've brought in a few more perspectives on the op-ed page. You know, they're running more sort of counterintuitive stuff. Maybe they're trying to show that they're responding to research that says that people don't like the overt partisan nature of some of this coverage. So they're trying to lean into stories about how things, the polls don't look good or whatever it is. There could be something to that.
Yeah.
But that's not what's going on. Like, what's going on, that's not causing the phenomenon. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
no, it's
you know, if you look at the polls, they're very, very specific. And it's across the country. You see that Republicans they're suddenly competitive in a lot of upscale districts, and they're really gaining ground on education all over the place. There's some other stuff going on, but that's a story. It's like, it's not a media concoction, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Stelter is crap, I hate when this.
Someone's saying, talk about Waukesha.
Stelter is outside with a cement mixer.
No, that's my. I apologize.
I know.
There's nothing I can
like,
do. This is a
like
massive tree that he's got to cut up.
Yeah. I like that idea. Yeah. Well, can we? All right. We'll talk about Waukesha, I guess, this week, right? I guess so. Yeah. Any media clips on this, or, but I wanted to quickly, and we have another Stelter clip, but there's some really important news that we have to share, and then we can talk about the other Stelter thing this week.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to share this important news. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is Chartable, which looks at the different podcasts where they rank. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the good news is we're up on the top in politics.
We are?
I mean, within the top 50. I could almost say 25, but here's the deal. Here's the good news. Ready? Here's what we can brag about. We're beating Chris Hayes's Why Is This Happening?
And John Solomon.
And John Solomon reports a lot of stuff. Oh my God, we're beating this week with George Stephanopoulos. We're beating a Carville podcast. We're beating a Pantsuit Politics. I don't even know what that is, but I'm glad. We're beating Matt Gaetz, The Weeds, which is Vox. We're beating 538. We're beating The Five, The Dishcast with Andrew Sullivan, Lou Dobbs, that's good. Brian Kilmeade, Common Sense with Dan Carlin. Wow. Newt's World. I love that. That's on iHeartRadio. Newt's World's on iHeartRadio. Face the Nation. The very shows that were, oh my God. Guys, we're beating Krista Kyle and friends this week.
Wow.
Big friends of show. Wow. Plus, we didn't even, but here's who we're below. And this kind of hurts me because they're blocking us from being in the top 25. We're one below. Ready?
That hurts.
The Lincoln fucking Project. Guys, right now, no matter what you're doing,
that makes me feel small.
Like this, rate and review this podcast on your wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you download it and you rate and review it. Give it a bunch of stars. I think this is based on listens, though. I don't even know who Stu Peters is. Gabfest, Bad Faith, Tim Pool,
beating us.
Todd Saves the World, Hold These Truths with Dan Crenshaw, Sisters-in-Law, the Al Franken Podcast, Nightly News with Lester Holt. Stay tuned with
Mea Culpa ad nauseum with
Mea Culpa ad nauseum with Michael Cohen. Verdict with Ted Cruz. I don't know who Victor Davis is.
Mea Culpa ad nauseum. Do you ever see that scene in Top Secret where the guy where Val Kilmer is being led off to execution, and there's a priest in front of him just reading in Latin, but all he's doing is just reading Latin phrases that everybody knows. It's like,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, ad nauseum, coitus interruptus.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Okay. Who else do we got? Louder with Chowder, who just sucks so much. Candace, Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec. How do you say his name? Posobiec. NPR Politics. Breaking Points. Love It or Leave It. Bannon's War Room. Pod Save America. Guys, we got to get us up in the polls. We got to beat the Lincoln Project. Plus, Pod Save is always our, can't believe it's number one. But I feel like we need to aim our fire, our metaphorical fire at the Lincoln Project.
Yeah. I think we got
good to be right above Chris Hayes.
Yeah.
Can we?
Hey, Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
Sorry,
yeah.
just quickly. I want to see the clip. I put it after clip 6, the top secret thing. Yeah.
Okay, Eric, someone in the chat needs to stop saying that I don't know. I shouldn't respond to it. If we're not talking about something, we're not going to talk about it. Get over it.
Sam Cedar is where?
Oh, where is he? Thank you, Our Hands Built Everything. And thank you, Parker Krasner, for saying, congrats, you deserve it. Yeah, guys, we want to thank you. This is thanks to listeners like you. Okay, Eric. Also, wait, where's the other person I want to
Here we go. Here we go. Can we watch this?
Thanks, Parker Krasner. Can you turn up the volume? No, it's the highest. It's weird. Here, I'm going to mute you, Matt. Can you keep playing? Okay.
Nolo contendere habeas corpus lictureus, ipso facto pro forma paripasu, hic haec hoc huius e pluribus unum, orie oinge ute etge aetre in the erge, tempus fugit cadeat emptor coitus interruptus, litigena ad nauseam. Amen.
Did he say Mitzi Gaynor? I would let him mute you. Yeah.
And the joke is they kill the priest instead of Val Kilmer
right.
in that scene. So,
yeah.
Well, it's okay. Yeah. Corey Eckmeyer says, Top Secret is great, but I love Real Genius. That's a big debate in my life, which of those two movies is the better one. I don't know. I lean towards Top Secret, but I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Huh.
So, all right. So
can we say who our guest is this week? We're remember who that guest is?
I do. I remember. Yeah.
Vaguely. But the new one, the director.
We're
having the director on. Okay, great. I know we changed it. All right. I think we should announce it.
All right, let's announce it.
Because we're trying to build our audience. Okay, guys, it's Oliver Stone, film director.
Oliver Stone. The Oliver Stone.
But
the caveat is we're going to spend the entire show talking about Any Given Sunday. So
that's
we're
how that was what I need. No, that was my demand. I only
that was your demand
to talk about that. Yeah. He did not do Any Given Sunday, did he?
Of course he did. What are you talking about? He's in the movie.
Any Given Sunday. Who was in that movie? I believe you.
Jamie Foxx, Al Pacino.
I didn't know that he directed that. That's so funny.
It's a great movie. What are you talking about? I mean,
what do you mean it's a great? I didn't know that. I'm not denying it's a great movie.
All right. No, we're not going to talk about Any Given Sunday the whole time. We're not going to talk about Stephen.
We're going to talk about a specific Sunday.
Sorry, I just had to do a Pacino-esque.
We're going to talk about one Sunday in particular.
Right. Yes, we're going to talk about that.
I didn't realize he directed that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to be fun. So tune in.
Yes.
And we will see you later this week.
Yes, and subscribe. And we have our Substack only for this week is an extended chat with Adolph Reed about all things controversial.
Right. Yeah. All right. See you soon.